This is the start of a new era in German politics, and to talk a bit more about what that might look like, let's bring in our Europe editor, Catherine Nicholson, who's at the EU Parliament in Brussels. Catherine, first of all, tell us a bit more about Olaf Scholz, who he is, and about Germany's new government.
Olaf Scholz, the 63-year-old experienced politician. He's softly spoken, continuing Angela Merkel's sort of reassuring tone that we know that many Germans appreciated. He was Angela Merkel's deputy. He was vice-chancellor in the former coalition government. And he was also the finance minister, a very powerful role in Germany, which is Europe's biggest and strongest economy. He's got a very particular and historic task ahead of him. He's leading a three-way coalition that's never been tried before. The parties involved are his own Social Democrats, as well as the Greens and the FDP, the Liberals, a pro-business party. They're called the Traffic Light Coalition, in fact, because of their red, green and yellow party colours. You'll probably hear that quite a bit over the next 4 years. Now, this government has been a long time in the formation. The election was at the end of September, and as we've seen, it's taken more than 2 months to get to this point of Olaf Scholz being confirmed as the Chancellor. But they have got some big promises that they've been making and formulating in that time. First and foremost, they say they want to get a grip on the pandemic. Germany has been seeing increasing infection numbers over the recent weeks. It's also battling to get people vaccinated. Its current vaccination rate is below the EU average, and that's cause for great concern, and there have been greater restrictions brought in on people's lives in many parts of Germany as well. Another big policy area for this coalition is going to be the fight against climate change. I'm sure you remember those awful scenes that we saw in the summer when there were flash floods in Germany as well as other parts of Central Europe, with around 200 people killed when a huge amount of rain fell in a very short time. Scientists saying this was definitely exacerbated by climate change. And with the Greens as the second biggest party in this coalition, you can certainly expect green and environmental policies to be pushed forward. One of those, a phase out of coal 8 years earlier than the previous promise. Foreign policy also a big one for this coalition, a particularly pressing concern, of course, what's going on the Russia-Ukraine border. It's going to be interesting to see how Germany's relationship with Moscow pans out. Angela Merkel had a very particular relationship with Vladimir Putin. The two leaders speak each other's languages. They were known to understand each other in a certain sense, I think, due to that. But she was known somewhat as a placater, perhaps, too much of a placater for some people. And there are expectations that this new coalition will be somewhat tougher, not just on Moscow, but also on Beijing.
Kat, thanks so much for that. Catherine Nicholson there reporting for us from Brussels.